My view, frankly, is that she should not have gone. She should not have gone.
These are the direct words from Max Baucus, the former United States ambassador to China who served under President Obama in Beijing from 2014 to 2017. Now, as we analyze Nancy Pelosi's trip to Taiwan, which has increased a tremendous amount of tension between the United States and China, and let's be honest, this is the absolute most bottom that the U.S. and China relationship has been probably in the last 50 years. This is the most tense that the Taiwanese Strait has been in probably decades. And again, this is why smart diplomacy and really an understanding of Chinese and American culture is so important to truly understand what is going on here. Now, there's no better person to really understand this situation than a United States diplomat who spent time serving in China and has an incredible knowledge of Chinese culture and history. This is going to be an action-packed episode. Let's get started.
So when you see Nancy Pelosi there, what do you think?
Taiwan is existential to the Chinese, not just to President Xi Jinping, but also to the Chinese people. They very much believe and want Taiwan to be part of China.
When asked about Nancy Pelosi's visit, the first thing that he wants to bring up is the fact that Taiwan is important not only to Xi Jinping, but actually to 1.4 billion Chinese people. And this is a point that I have never, not once, heard in Western media. Remember, Western media is only going to present one side of the story. And this is why you have to be a good investigator. You have to research and truly understand the topic that you're talking about. And this is so important because it is the will of the Chinese people and the government and the president and everybody involved. But the growing tensions between the United States and China are not just because of this visit from Nancy Pelosi. There's also several other factors involved.
The situation is more dire for many reasons. One is we're just not talking to each other. When I was serving as ambassador, there were many conversations, many delegations. President Obama met several times with the President Xi. There are virtually no visits now. Part of it's because of COVID, but irrespective of the reason, there's no visits.
Now, this is unfortunately the reality of the last few years in a worldwide pandemic, is that presidential visits to China and really having this one-on-one connection between the United States president and China's president, unfortunately, it's just not happening these past few years because of this worldwide pandemic.
The relationship just has gone south. It's much more intense now. China feels that it is an equal partner to the United States. They feel that way now. They did not feel that way as much a few years ago. So
when he was serving as the ambassador to China from 2014 to 2017, China was still very much, growing as it is today, but it didn't automatically feel that it was at the same level of the United States. However, we fast forward to today, we see that China really wants to have that seat at the table. It really wants to be treated as an equal. And that is something that the United States and other Western countries are having a difficult time grasping, the fact that you have a country like China rising so fast, improving the lives of hundreds of millions of people, and really wanting that seat at the table and becoming this economic powerhouse that is one of the most dominant countries in the world today.
My view, frankly, is that she should not have gone. The goal of the U.S. foreign policy is to reduce tensions with China, not increase tensions. And her visit clearly is increasing tensions. There's no foreign policy reason for her to go.
Now remember, this is a former diplomat representing the United States government, and even he says that there was no reason from a foreign policy perspective that Nancy should have gone to Taiwan. And this is the reason why.
The Taiwanese know that we support them.
And this is important for everybody to understand. We know that the United States has a very close relationship with Taiwan. China knows that, Taiwan knows that, every American knows that. The United States and Taiwan have had a very close relationship. So honestly, what is the point for Nancy Pelosi to go over to Taiwan? Whatever she needed to say to Taiwan, she could have easily said on the shores of American soil. But no, Nancy had different goals in making this visit to Taiwan.
Of her visit, if you read her statement explaining why she's going, it just reeks of a very strong rhetoric in favor of Taiwan and very much in hatred, virtually, of China. It's an amazing statement, frankly.
And here's the real reason that Nancy wanted to go to Taiwan. Again, she wanted to send a message that was really anti-China and very much pro-Taiwan. Let's listen to Richard Quest as he breaks down exactly what Nancy Pelosi said.
The speaker said, "Our discussions will focus on reaffirming our support for our partner America's solidarity with the 23 million people is more important than ever as the world faces a choice between autocracy and democracy.
Now, this is a phrase that you're going to hear very often in America right now, autocracy versus democracy. I believe that this is U.S. politicians trying to distract away from the fact that the United States democracy is actually receding right now. We are not the superpower that we were in the past. America, at least our government system, is in decline. And again, we are showing a tremendous amount of weakness. In order to better understand the point that I'm saying, I'm going to introduce to you a series of tweets from Martin Jacques, a fantastic scholar on China who drops an absolute truth bomb on the reality of the United States government. The Pelosi visit must be seen in the context of the dramatic failure of U.S. foreign policy since 9/11. Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, Syria, and increasingly Ukraine. Why? As a superpower in decline, it no longer controls or shapes the world as it used to. It has lost its compass. We now live in the age of instability. The aura of authority the US once had is draining away. Most countries are aware of this and increasingly make policy in full knowledge of it. Ukraine is a classic example. Europe followed the US, but most of the developing world has not. The US is deeply divided. This is a large product of the American decline. The US now speaks with many voices. DC no longer has the same authority. Biden was too weak to say no to Pelosi's visit, and Pelosi ignored Biden and the Pentagon. What a shambles. And this is why it's so concerning for me as a United States citizen, because of these selfish actions from politicians like Nancy Pelosi. This makes America, my country, look very bad. It makes American citizens bad on the international stage. And again, it really makes people around the world question, what is the United States government doing? When America was in its prime, it could deliver. In 1972, Nixon and Kissinger made a far-sighted deal with Chairman Mao on Taiwan that lasted for 50 years. Now, America is divided about what to do. The result is the worst crisis over Taiwan since 1949, a dramatic example of U.S. weakness. China's position, in contrast, remains unchanged. It has no desire to invade Taiwan. It overwhelmingly prefers a peaceful solution, as its huge patience since 1949 shows. An invasion would be a last resort. It has not invaded any country since 1949. Compare that with the U.S. Now, these are some strong words from Martin Jacques on the status of the United States government over Taiwan, but let's listen to the former ambassador as he describes Nancy Pelosi and her responsibilities.
You know, she's a member of Congress. She can do what she wants. She is not the president. She doesn't have to worry about foreign policy worldwide. The president does, but she doesn't, and that's a problem because she's the speaker and people listen to her.
And see, this is why it's such a confusing issue. She's the Speaker of the House, and she doesn't need to worry about foreign diplomacy. The former ambassador says, really, that's Joe Biden's job as the president. Unfortunately, what Nancy fails to realize is that she is a representative of the United States government. And as I highlighted in an earlier video, when the Speaker of the House, who, by the way, is second in line to the U.S. president, when they go on a visit to Taiwan, that counts as a formal diplomatic visit, which again is a direct violation of the 1972 Shanghai Communique. And this is why it's important for people like Nancy Pelosi to better understand foreign policy. Yes, you're the Speaker of the House, but there is also a tremendous amount of responsibility that comes with that, and you need to be representing your government and your country correctly on the international stage.
And so she's not just a visitor. She's not just a member of Congress. She's the Speaker, and she's saying what she is saying. And again, this is an existential issue to Taiwan. The more Taiwan starts to look like it's becoming more independent, the more China's going to take aggressive action. They have no choice.
And this is the truth about the situation. And again, this is spoken from somebody who understands Chinese culture and has spent time living in China. The more independent Taiwan becomes, the more aggressive China has to react. They have no other option.
From your view, is there a wish by the Chinese to improve relations with the United States? Or are they content with the current level of, if you like, saber rattling, not talking to each other, basically rivals on the global economic stage?
Now, I love this final question from Richard Quest, and he asked, what about the Chinese? Do they actually want to see an improved relationship? Take a listen to this answer from the former U.S. ambassador. This is quite amazing.
By and large, deep down, Most Chinese want to work with America. Why? Because they're just like American people. What do they care about? They care about food on the table, decent income, take care of their kids, and they know that that's more likely the more that they work with the largest country in the world, the United States.
Now, this insight from the former ambassador is something that I have preached consistently on this channel for the past 2 years, and that is the fact that most Chinese people are very open. Many Chinese people have a fantastic impression of America, the country, the people, not so much the politics, not so much the American government, but again, as an American citizen who lived 10 years in China, I have always been welcomed by Chinese people, and even to this day, in doing business with China, Chinese people are always wanting to partner, and they're always wanting to improve this relationship because, again, it's in China's best interest to have a good relationship with America. And this is what's quite fascinating. Despite the fact that the United States and China are at probably the lowest point in their relationship over the last 50 years, 2022 will represent the largest amount of trade ever done between these two countries. And this is why it is so important that we have better diplomacy, we have better understanding, and everyone, this is why I make a YouTube channel about the United States and China in this complicated relationship, because I want more people to understand that our two countries will be forever linked at the hip, and they absolutely need to work together for the future of mankind. Everybody, as we come to the conclusion of today's video, I hope you enjoyed this analysis of this interview from the former ambassador to China, Max Baucus. Max has some interesting insights. Again, he has that knowledge, that experience, and if we are going to be solving this situation in the Taiwanese Strait, and we're going to be forging a better relationship with China for the future of mankind, I think it's important to listen to people like the former ambassador to China who has these insights, who has this knowledge, and most importantly, understands the situation and the reality from both the American and the Chinese side. Everyone, my name is Cyrus Jansen. Thank you for making it to this point in the video. If you're not already subscribed, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. And if you like today's content and you would like to be a member of our team, help support this channel and help it grow even faster, I'm going to put a link down for our Patreon account. Come join the team. You can receive exclusive updates from me. And again, I want to thank you all for spending time with me. I look forward to seeing you all in next week's video.